Welcome back. In South Africa, gunmen have freed 20 prisoners after ambushing a police lorry in South Africa's main city of Johannesburg. According to the police authorities, the men armed with rifles surrounded the truck transporting the prisoners and freed them. The awaiting trial prisoners were being transported from the court to jail, and most of them charged with various crimes, including armed robbery, housebreaking and theft, and also possession of drugs. Let's look at the education sector in Nigeria now. In comparison to students currently facing strike action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, candidates seeking admission into tertiary institutions in the country are likely to be warmly welcomed. The development that the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has fixed the minimum cutoff mark for 2017. At a policy meeting at the 2017-2018 admissions exercise in Abuja, the nation's capital, the registrar of JAMB, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, fixed 120 as the minimum cutoff mark for admission into universities in Nigeria and 100 for polytechnics and colleges of education, whilst innovating enterprising institutes have been pegged at 110. Professor Oloyede adds that institutions are, however, at liberty to raise their cutoff marks for admission above the minimum benchmark set by the board.
From Abia to Zamfara, heads of tertiary institutions converge on Abuja to brainstorm on the 2017-2018 admission exercise into tertiary institutions. The Minister of Education sets the tone for the meeting with the lifting of the ban on the conduct of post-unified tertiary matriculation examination, which was suspended in 2016.
While it is not mandatory for any institution to conduct it, the Senate and Academic Board of each institution is hereby allowed to exercise its autonomy. To determine the parameters for the process and selection of candidates in addition to using the result of the UTME.
After consultations with the heads of the various institutions, the meeting reaches a consensus on the cutoff marks for tertiary institutions.
For degree award courses, the minimum is 120. The minimum for polytechnic is 100.
Other key decisions taken at the meeting are that admissions into public degree awarding institutions for the 2017 UTME examination will end on January 15, 2018. While for private institutions, the last day will be January 31, 2018. Also, decisions on first-choice candidates by universities will end on October 15, 2017, while for second-choice candidates, it is December 15, after which remaining students will be available for other institutions till the last day in January 2018. Expanding access to education is, however, germane to the federal government's plan for the sector.
Let me use this opportunity to restate the commitment of this administration to ensure expansion of access to students in our institutions, to ensure equity between gender, between regions, between urban areas and rural areas, to ensure quality, and to ensure relevance and inclusiveness.
More than 1.7 million candidates applied to study various courses in tertiary institutions across the country in 2017. And with the minimum benchmark fixed by JAMB, admission seekers with requisite qualifications may find it easier to gain admission into institutions of their choice.
Let's get an update on the situation in Sierra Leone, where donations are still coming in for those who survived the deadly mudslide in Freetown. As the death toll from the disaster rises, aid workers set up psychosocial support centers for children facing the trauma of loss, flooding and homelessness, with the prospect of more rains and the continued risk of further landslides.
Aid workers in Sierra Leone are offering psychological support to children traumatized by a mudslide and severe flooding that killed almost 500 people last week in Regent, a town near the capital, Freetown. More than 100 children died in the floods, and more bodies are being found every day as the search continues for hundreds who are still missing. Today, young survivors are once more surrounded by death, loss, and now also destruction.
A lot of these children have been through a very traumatic experience, and the flooding and the landslides has likely had a huge impact on them. So this allows them to receive psychosocial support from trained facilitators, and that means that they've got someone to be able to talk to express any problems, any issues they're facing, and also as part of that, providing a more normal, friendly environment for them.
One of Africa's worst flooding-related disasters in years occurred when the side of Mount Sugarloaf collapsed after heavy rain, burying parts of Regent and overwhelming relief efforts in one of the world's poorest countries. Dead bodies have been buried in quickly dug graves in the nearby Waterloo Cemetery, close to the site of a mass burial for victims of the Ebola crisis that killed 4,000 people between 2014 and 2016. Harry Pange from the Sierra Leone Family Home Movement, a Christian non-governmental organization, is one of the volunteers at the Trauma Support Center tent. He says spending time with the children helps them feel safe, cared for, and not alone.
We feel relieved in doing our job with these kids because we want to see them happy, we want to see them safe, and for which we are happy staying around these kids. I want to see that they continue to play around and they have themselves together.
There are other tents like these set up in Regent. The initiative is run by UK Aid, Save the Children, UNICEF and other local organizations.
Women the world over are facing head-on the challenge of doing jobs traditionally reserved for men. Nazra Haj Hussein is one of those women challenging gender stereotypes in Somalia as she works as a car mechanic despite being ridiculed and chided by many for taking the job.
When Nasra left home 2 years ago in search of a job in Mogadishu, working as a mechanic was not one of the options she had in mind. The 18-year-old comes from Hiran, about 300 kilometers from Somalia's capital. Nasra's father is elderly and her mother is unwell, which means she has to help support the family. She spent several months job hunting and eventually approached mechanics at the service garage where she found an opportunity as an apprentice.
I repair different types of cars, luxury cars, bulletproof cars and pickups. Sometimes I service trucks when they are brought to the garage.
For many youth, getting a solid education or even finding a job is difficult with the economic and security challenges Somalia continues to face as the country rebuilds. Nasra's work saw her invited to take the stage at Mogadishu's Technology, Entertainment and Design Conference this year with an audience of over 20,000 people listening both online and at the event. She encouraged Somalis to exploit various options. She's also spreading her message through social media. Working in what is traditionally seen as a male domain, Nasra says at first she was ridiculed and chided for taking up the job, but over time she began to win customers. Nasra makes $300 a month at the garage. After work, she likes to spend time relaxing at home. She has invited a friend over today for tea.
Heartwarming, that is. Well, that's Network Africa. Thanks for watching. I'm Jocka Rogers.